Good morning, good morning. Hello, everyone. Let me get this up and running. I can't put it in Overwatch. Ladder. You gonna fix it? I think it fixed it. Good morning. His butler and valet wait at his side just in case he isn't as ready as he looks. These are my relationships with people. Oh, look. I have zero relationship with myself. And I screwed up Luke's, but that's okay. Luke's kind of a douchebag. His butler and valet wait at his side just in case he isn't as ready as he looks. Oh sure, that is normal. What's confusing me is the fact that he is on his way out of the penthouse, considering we won't have anywhere to go until much later.
Where are you going?
I am to attend the Triad Autumn Tasting. I do believe I informed you of this 2 weeks ago.
Yes. And might I remind you that I had stricken that off your schedule? Because 1, the doctor told you to stop consuming so much alcohol. And 2, I informed you a few days ago about the open house we are going to attend in its place. I've even found this marvelous interior designer, Mary Ann McCullough.
Your finger's still looking incredible.
It's a 3.5-hour drive to Cardiff. I don't have time for this. This is like that little party you threw all over again. You don't inform me of it, and you expect me to stay and be a gracious host when I have business elsewhere.
Sounds like she did inform you of it like 2 weeks ago.
You know how I operate, Hana. Unless this was penciled in, I am sticking to my schedule.
If I may intrude, the madam is correct. Your physician did insist you moderate your drinking, unless you wish to incur acute pancreatitis. And you did have this open house penciled in last Wednesday morning.
Bullocks, I don't remember doing so.
Well, you did. While very
I was gonna
hungover,
say,
in
it's
fact.
The alcohol, if it means he didn't remember it. He did. Moaned about me being too loud, but gave in after some pushing. Perhaps it was a bit too cruel and manipulative of me.
Whose side are you on?
Come on, Luke. You promised we'd do whatever I want this weekend.
Gordon Bennett, fine. I am giving this house tour of yours a chance.
Who's Gordon Bennett?
But if it proves to be a waste of time, I am going to Cardiff, and you are going to take a cab home. Are we clear?
It's just a bit of husband and wife tit for tat, isn't it? All couples have their arguments. Once the honeymoon phase is over, as they seem to call it, reality sets in that you and your partner might not always see eye to eye. Perhaps it's been the years. 7 is
Just
nothing
cannot
to
bloody believe I
scoff at.
agreed to this. I was really looking forward to the Triad
I'm
tasting.
sure you were, dude. Though sometimes I think it's something a bit more than just simple disagreements, and I have to stop myself from wondering.
There's
where we
always the
went wrong.
Triad Christmas tasting in Manchester next month, and that'll only be an hour-and-a-half drive.
Have I been neglectful? Have I offended? Have I acted shamefully?
Yes, but Cardiff.
Certainly, any problem can be discussed, as long as he doesn't turn me
Well,
away.
there goes my good mood. Are you happy now, Hana?
Yes. It's kind of a douchebag. And I want to defend myself, but at the same time, I think that'll only make things more tense for later. That's done. No.
Yes, I am very happy, Luke. Because for once in a very long time, we are doing what I want. I'm ecstatic. Understood? And this would be perfect if you stop acting like a child who needs their nappy changed. We will be leaving after lunch for the Ermengarde mansion.
I didn't mean to scroll.
You are going to park your rear in the car and keep mum. And you are going to behave during the tour.
Needless to say, Luke looks a bit shocked at my little outburst. He opened and closed his mouth a few times, struggling to reply before he crosses his arms to look like, well, a moping
Any more
child.
rules for this little excursion of yours, Your Highness?
No wine.
No wine. Unacceptable! I am already not allowed to the tasting, and you would deprive me of that simple pleasure?
If I see you take one sip today, I will put the stocks under lock and key. Do you understand me?
Don't forget the bottles he keeps in his dresser.
Thank you, Johannes.
Whose side are you on?
How many times in one day can you ask that?
As many times as I need you, traitor.
Thank you, Johannes. The ride to the mansion is quiet, with Luke having stared out the window the entire way, not paying attention to anything around him. Meanwhile, I am conflicted. I don't know if I should apologize for changing his plans. But by the time we arrive at the mansion and I see his eyes light up in genuine interest, apologizing is the last thing on my mind. The whole affair is certainly an interesting experience. The place has been renovated and restored by the owners to what they claim to be acceptable standards. The mansion itself looks like something befitting a fairy tale or period piece. It's tastefully decorated, and with a little bit of love and attention, I'm sure it can be a place Luke and I can call home. And the number of other prospective buyers that have come from the powerful and wealthy of Luxburn certainly did not disappoint, marking this estate as prime property. The Lees are amongst the group who went with the Rose Woman, and I saw a few other notable faces, so I did not really feel like mingling. Unfortunately for every one of them, the Wrights are interested in buying. What's been bugging my mind, however, is that Isabel. Bad blood. Wait, what does that mean? None of these are given definitions. What's been bugging my mind, however, is that Isabel. What's her problem? I still don't quite understand what's happening. One moment she's scrambling to give us the paperwork to finalize the sale. Then she's panicking over some sort of prank letter or other. Then she's panicking over some sort of prank letter or other. The second thing on my mind is how touchy my darling husband is being towards the poor dear. I can't even plaster a smile on my face, a horrible scowl taking its place. There's no way I can pretend nothing is wrong as I help.
And I'm sure little Lily here would certainly appreciate it if you remove your pretty hands from her, darling.
He's quick enough to detract his hand, which is all that a girl needs to, well, for a lack of a better word, escape.
I think I need to step out for a while. I'll be back.
Her partner follows, shouting after her without hesitation. There's an awkward air among us as we are left in the wake of whatever that was. The others murmur and gossip with each other, speaking of the poor daft girl and telling the tale to whoever was not audience to the act in the first place. It doesn't take too long for the woman Rose to return and pull us aside into the study for what I rightfully assume is damage control. Rose invites Marianne to, hoping to apologize to her as well, but the woman refuses, saying she's not one of her clients anyway. That leaves myself, Rose, and Luke, the last all too eager to make himself comfortable in a study he's no doubt already claimed as his own.
I can't apologize enough about what just happened. Please forgive Isabella. She's been under a lot of pressure lately. She's young, and all those rumors about this being haunted just got to her head. And it must be this terrible heat, too. Not a drop of rain for days now.
Oh, it's fine. The poor girl must feel so embarrassed about what she just did. But I say, let bygones be bygones. After all, she's only a child. She looked, what, 19?
After all, he tried flirting with the girl. The nerve of him. And not only that Isabella girl, but also Marianne and Rose too. What kind of husband would think that's even remotely a good idea to make moves on 3 different women while his wife stands there? Did he drink while I wasn't
She's a bit
looking?
older than that. But again, I apologize. And if there's any way I can make up for what just happened, just...
I know what you can do. Be a darling flower and get us one of those bottles you plan to serve. Pop it open.
We were planning on serving some champagne. I can get that.
That would be lovely. Much obliged.
Do you want a glass as well, Ms. Wright?
Oh no, I'm fine. I really shouldn't be drinking right now.
And Luke shouldn't be either. But right now I'm just too tired for any sort of argument. I don't have the heart to scold him in public as well. I'm certainly not his mother. I just want to get this horrid day done with, go home and sleep. Perhaps I'll have a strong cuppa before I head off to bed. Yes, that sounds nice. When Rose comes back with the champagne, I beckon her over. As I have told her partner before, I have every intent of acquiring this house. I might as well, even if I'm having second thoughts about getting it for Luke. The moment we, the Wrights, had expressed interest in the place, we've had eyes set on us. If we don't buy it, that might as well be the signal to have busybodies gossip about how we may or may not have lost our fortune. Regardless of the fact that it is false, image is everything when dealing with these people. There are unspoken rules for people such as ourselves. And besides, I really did like the place. Why, everything here is absolutely wonderful. Well, except for that ugly painting in the study. Looks like a bad fake of an Edvard Munch painting.
Here's the deal. I'm willing to pay 10% higher than your listing price. If anyone tries to outbid us, just add another 5%. I doubt anyone can, of course. Or, you know what? Just add 15% to the listing price, and we can sign all the paperwork
That's
now.
actually insane.
I guess, if that's what you want. That won't be any trouble. I don't have all the papers now. Didn't think this would be a quick sell. I'll have copies sent to you so you can look over them. And if you'd still like to finish the rest of the tour with Isabella's group, you're more than welcome to.
No, I think we're good here. We'd appreciate a private tour of the place a lot more, I think.
All right. Should I let Marianne in, then?
Marianne? Oh, right. She's been waiting outside the study the whole time, hasn't she? I'll need to have a little chat with her to move this mansion project forward.
Please do.
There's a look of apprehension when the other woman enters the study. Yes, like a professional, I see the moment when she steals her stealth and masks her worry. Admirable.
We have this project then?
Of course.
Having the floor plans would be a great start, just so that I can look at them beforehand. And if you could tell me when you're available for a meeting so that I can include it in my calendar?
Oh, is a meeting really all that necessary, Marianne?
Yes,
I guess we can send Johannes to help you out.
Johannes!
You two can start by getting rid of this ugly painting.
A hush falls on the room at my
What
request.
painting?
And lo and behold, the painting is gone. In its place a mirror stands, which leaves me to look at my own confused expression.
Odd. Well, no matter.
You've started to fall under the
Back to the
carrot
topic at
slaps.
hand. Marianne, dear,
My
we are
husband's
simply far too busy to meet up.
Or perhaps maybe I should. No, you know what?
But
Yeah, you-
I guess we can free up a
I like
day to meet
Marianne.
with
She's
you.
a nice lady, and she's Irish.
I don't really need another Maudlin Monday reading about Maury anyway. The book club can function without me for one
Book
day.
clubs usually can.
What time shall we be seeing each other? How does lunch sound?
Besides, my house has a higher priority over book club. Why, we can hold the next meeting in this place. Surely the beauty and grandeur of it all will inspire spirited and lively debates about whether modern-day writers could match up to the classics. I might as well clear up the rest of my week to handle whatever affairs buying this mansion requires of me. Any social activity can be put off until the Ermengarde, or rather, the Wright Mansion's great debut. I'll have my fill of great parties and gatherings, especially when I organize them myself.
That sounds good. Although, with a project of this scope, we might need most of the day to tackle your concerns. A more thorough inspection of the place is also preferable.
Breakfast then. It's a date.
It's really not.
No, it's clearly not, Marianne. Chill.
All right. Monday. 10 o'clock sharp. We'll see you then.
Actually, Marianne suggested that we meet at 9, but who is even awake at that unholy hour? I was lucky enough to wake up this morning before Luke went all the way to Cardiff. We say our goodbyes, shake hands, and make it clear without outright saying it that we now own this house. By the time we left the mansion grounds, sunset is almost upon us.
So, you really want to buy this place then?
That's an awfully creepy background music.
That's a bit of a big impulse buy, even coming from you. Not that I'm complaining.
Well, I'm glad you're not complaining like you usually do. It's a right and proper Christmas miracle, isn't it? Hannah has finally done something right.
Ma'am Han. Mom Hannah. I refuse to look at him, staring at the passing scenery instead.
Hey, Buttercup, what's with this cheek?
Rose, Lily, Mint. The nerve, Luke, the nerve!
Is that what this was about? One, that woman's name was Rose. And two, you know I don't mean a word of that empty flirting.
And it's still the principle of things, Luke. I understand if you try to woo them to get what you want when it seems that I'm not looking. But I told you once before not to do it when I'm there.
Luke dealt with other women in the past to get what he wanted. Sometimes I have my doubts. I really want to believe that I am an exception and he's not just using me like how he used those other girls. I'm having a hard time believing that now, and it isn't just the shameless flirting. There's something about that Marianne woman, as if Luke is familiar with her. As much as it shames me, it makes jealousy rear its ugly head. I'm, suffice to say, ticked off.
Really? I forfeit my trip to Cardiff for this, and you're still not
Those
happy.
faces are the best.
Oh, trust me, Luke. I am very happy. Very happy that, for once, we are doing something that I want. Can you not see the smile on my face?
It's only when I let loose those words that the truth hits me with like a slap on the face. And by the looks of it, it seems to have the same effect on my dear darling husband. It's always been Luke wants to do this, Luke wants to do that, hasn't it? I don't even remember the last trip we took which was of my own choosing, without needing to get the man's approval. On the other hand, I was pulled along to every single expedition he wished to tackle, and I never objected. The rest of the ride home is spent ignoring each other, pretending the other doesn't exist. Arriving at our penthouse, my first order of business is to get into bed, forget a hot bath, and forget the tea. I just want to bury myself in blankets and forget everything in my slumber. It seems that Luke has the same idea in mind, and he tags along behind me, but this is something I will not allow the moment I pass through the door.
Out.
What the bloody hell, woman? This is my bedroom too!
Luke stands, flabbergasted, as I deny him entry into our chambers. His pillows lie on the cold tiled floors away from the warmth of our soft down bed, and my gaze promises him the same fate if he does not budge in this manner.
Don't even try to argue, because I am very cross with you, Luke Wright. You can take the second bedroom or the guest room if you wish. But I do not want to see you at all for the rest of the night.
Johans!
Her butler wanders over, a curious expression on his face. He doesn't quite hurry, moving at a relaxed pace, no matter how angry his master
No,
son.
you are not allowed to sleep in my room, sir.
That's not what I mean! Help me talk some sense into her!
There is no sense in questioning her right to be angry, sir.
Whose side are you on?
So, if I might be excused, I'll go prepare the second bedroom for you.
I have to keep a straight face as he stomps away in defeat.
Mutiny! This is mutiny! The system is being upturned, and the people are rioting, and everything is left asunder.
Okay, that's what I'd say, but he's like a 4-year-old. It isn't every day that Luke is rendered speechless by he wasn't speechless by someone he considers inferior, or to yield to yet another authority without an ulterior motive. His pride just won't allow it. I do keep telling the man to treat his people better. He may throw whatever fit he wants, but he will not be getting his way tonight. Victorious, I celebrate by jumping face first into our bed. Undignified, yes, but nobody is here to judge me anyway, right? Nobody is here to tell me what to do. Yet as I succumb to sleep, I can hear them whisper to me. I can hear them whispering. We're gonna see the face, calling for me. They want me, need me, they drown me, pull me down and suffocate me in their embrace until I sink to the bottom. A deep abyss awaits, inviting yet foreboding. They're calling to me from in there, aren't they? And I do want to help, I do, but when I try to reach out, something pulls me back like a hook sinking itself into my stomach. Okay. And I break through the surface with a gasp. Alone in bed without Luke to hog the covers, I am swathed in cloth and slicked with sweat. It's a lot of S's. It takes me a while to untangle myself and kick them all off. Both the bed and I are a right mess by the end of it all, but I'm more than eager to just up and go out for some fresh air. October 26th, Wednesday. The days past have gone by in a blur. What did I do? New. During the open house, Anna pressured the estate agents to sell her the mansion. The Wrights also met their interior designer, but displeased with her husband's flirtatious attitude, a disagreement brewed during the ride home. Inevitably, they ended up sleeping in different bedrooms that night. that the only new thing? Ma'am Hannah. We hadn't talked much, Luke and I, outside of necessity. In fact, we've hardly talked beyond the topic of acquisitions of properties. Properties being the mansions, obviously. Everything's been so busy I haven't talked to anyone outside of the business, and it is just so stressing. So one can understand my need for a good chat, preferably over a good meal. There are times when any decent, emotionally healthy, and socially capable person need a good friend. One who will talk to them without the conversation degrading or turning into an argument. Or barring a nearby friend, I have an interior designer under a confidentiality agreement to listen to me.
Hiya! Come on now!
The place is bustling with movers, carrying furnishings here and there, along with several trunks of personal belongings taken from our penthouse. I can hear Luke barking at them in the other room, making sure nothing is handled carelessly or gets stolen.
Careful now! I know your pictures are framed by cheap plastic, but those are framed by African Blackwood and are one-of-a-kind commissioned paintings.
Lovely.
Each one is easily worth a lifetime of what you lot make.
I'm sure. It's hard to tune him out. The walls did not do a good job of muffling him at all. But then again, it is Luke. I would still hear him ranting even if we were on opposite sides of the mansion and I'm wearing earplugs.
I'd really like to thank you for inviting me to breakfast, Mrs. Wright. But I already ate, so I should really go back to work.
Oh boy.
Nonsense! You arrived so early, you must not have gotten a proper meal. Our butler has made a surprisingly lovely bubble and squeak. Sit, sit!
Never had
I'd
bubbles.
situate us in the dining hall, but... Oh, Johans!
The man in question appears ready with his tray as he starts to set the table for us, but he recognizes her. We sit in silence as we are each served a plate. Bubble and Squeak topped nicely... Wait, what is Bubble and Squeak? Bubble and Squeak topped nicely by a... I'm gonna get that right. Bubble and Squeak topped by a nicely poached egg with cherry tomatoes and other garnishes adorning the edges of the plate. A cup and saucer and a teapot with some Earl Grey is placed down for Marianne, and I ask for an orange Julius. Isn't that just orange juice?
How are you liking the project?
Drop that vase and I'll have your head! I know it's only an 8 million yen vase, but I swear, I'll...
Well, it's certainly a fun challenge, incorporating the designs of a Jacobean manor and the functionality of a modern household. I have ideas I would like to suggest, by the way, about what to use the second bedroom for. I have been informed of your goddaughter and thought a kid-friendly room might be in order.
You read my mind. I was actually going to bring that up. Oh, that would just be so lovely, Marianne. That way, Kylie can bring her friends over as well. And a good friend of mine, Rochelle, is expecting a baby. So, why don't we think about putting a crib in there too? I can just imagine little ones running around, filling this place with the pitter-patter of their feet. We'd have to make sure they don't trip and fall on the stairs, though.
We won't be able to finish everything up until after the party. But we'll have it ready by then, so that all we need to do is to move in the furnishings.
Yes, that's plenty fine. It's not like we're in a hurry to have it, and we wouldn't want the workers to disturb the guests or the other way around, do we? Just make sure it's presentable. You know, in case a guest snoops about.
Of course. As for the kitchen you wanted, I've already negotiated for the high-end stoves and the hot and cold drawers, so on, and I've got a friend who is able to customize them so that they'll look like the counters we'll be replacing and fit the rest of the interior. They'll be bringing them in today.
Why can't you people do anything right? Don't
He's
drag
so
it. You'll scratch the wood.
So
Excellent.
squeaky.
But no, really, how have you liked it so far?
Oh, it has been wonderful, believe me. Everything is going smoothly too. It has been a long time since I've worked on something on this grand a scale. Nowadays, everyone is about condos and flats, living in the city where every room is an identical
Got that
box.
right.
Believe me, this is very refreshing.
We lived in a condo before this, Marianne.
I didn't mean any insult.
It's fine, sweetie. Look at you, all frazzled. I was just pulling your leg. Luke wanted that penthouse when we got married, and you can thank him for purchasing this place as well.
She looks confused. Of course, she has every right to be. She no doubt overheard me push that estate agent into the sale, making quite the aggressive offer. She saw me sign the papers for the mansion as well. I just had to scoff.
Don't be fooled. I'm just the treasury. I wouldn't be able to make a purchase this grand without his seal of approval.
I see.
That's it. That's all you have to say.
Yes, it wouldn't be appropriate to comment further. It is unprofessional.
Unprofessional.
She's like, I'm half hoping you do respond to me. No, but it wouldn't be the... I'm half hoping you respond to me. I didn't want professional. I wanted someone who will either agree with me, even if it's just for the sake of agreeing, or someone who will try to talk some sense into me. Neutral responses are so boring. There's no discourse.
The food is good. Best bubble and squeak.
Of course it is. Our kitchen staff only uses the
Looks so
freshest, hand-picked
disinterested.
ingredients. Only the best for the rights.
Mr. Wright is not joining us?
No, he is far too busy bossing people around. He even refused to join me for breakfast earlier. Hence, this.
I see. My apologies. I really don't know what sort of response you expect to get
She
from
isn't
me.
your friend, Ma'am Hannah. There's a clatter of silverware as I slam my hands on the table. It's frustrating. I'm frustrated. Luke mostly. But Marianne's neutral, professional answers are certainly irksome as well.
You're a human with feelings and opinions, aren't you? Don't give me this bollocks about being professional when we're having a nice, friendly chat over a nice and friendly breakfast. I can only talk about interior designs for so long, and I detest one-sided conversations,
So
Marianne.
upset.
But I really don't know what to say, Mrs. Wright. We were talking of no topic in particular, and
Luke. We were talking about Luke.
about him not eating breakfast with you.
About him treating me as if I were some treasury.
Didn't realize I shouted it that loud until it's too late. There's a stunned silence that settled before I slumped back into my seat. Handing my face in my hands, I feel my shoulders shake. Breathe, breath, I told myself. Calm down. But it's just so hard.
Honestly, sometimes I feel like he doesn't love me anymore.
That face does not match that face. That face looks like mildly upset. This one looks very upset, but in a different way.
Oh, have I been so blind? Did he ever love me at all? Was our marriage all for the sake of saving his company and his wealth?
Possibly.
Because...
Because?
Did I say all that out loud again? No, this is bad, unacceptable. It's been rumored before the real reason for our engagement, but if anyone here were to know of this, marriages of necessity to carry on political and financial power used to be a common thing, but the Evans-Wright union is the perfect happily ever after. Was supposed to be. It's true that when we first met each other, in order to discuss dealings to make the then failing Wright Enterprise a subsidiary for Evans Incorporated, but I do remember being in love with him, and there were times when he said he loved me back, but I'm not sure of what the truth is now. Either way, I do not want the Wright name or the Evans name dragged through the mud because of a slip-up. Well, of course I'm gonna ask for her, Sal. I'm not gonna threaten her. Marianne is the good sort, isn't she? Yes, she is. You be kind. Please rewind. So far, she has been reasonable and accommodating, even towards Luke's ridiculous requests. Patient and professional, did it only extend to business, or would she be able to understand that things are not as simple, not as clean as they are painted to be? Certainly, I can talk to her. Ask for
I
her.
won't speak a word, Mrs. Wright. Not only am I contractually obliged to, it would also go against my principles. This is no one else's business but your own, and it should be kept between the two of you. And whoever you wish to seek counsel from.
Please, Marianne. You have to understand these sort of affairs. If anyone were to know this, they could just twist it and we'll be ruined. All I ask for is your silence on the matter.
If I am to be frank, Mrs. Wright, this isn't new for me. You aren't the first, and you certainly won't be the last to have complicated dealings. Unless what you're doing is illegal, I turn a blind eye.
Can I trust her?
If I wasn't in the same boat, I'd be trying to pry those secrets and gossip with you about them by now.
Well, I'm keeping that information confidential as well.
Good. It's not like I have any other choice.
Thank you.
do I? We continue to eat our meal in peace, finishing the last of the food and drink. When the door to the parlor opened, Marianne and I are just sitting in
Madam,
silence.
the photographer from Luxury Living is here.
You are awfully close to her, dude. That is inappropriate. I give him nothing but a small
This was a
nod.
wonderful meal, Marianne. You're free to return to your duties. I must excuse myself.
It was my pleasure. And thank you for the food as well.
Making my way to... Is that a bow? Making my way downstairs, I look back and see Marianne giving me a nod and a small smile. It certainly puts me in lighter spirits. An interview with Luxury Living. There's a journal. I've October 26th. Wait, we're already there? Whoa. We skipped quite a bit. Oh, okay. So I'm 2 days ahead of where I ended with Isabella. The right couple moved to their newly bought mansion today and was already preparing for a housewarming party. Hannah and Mary Ann were seen having breakfast together, with the former complaining and accidentally divulging too much details about it. It's too many, by the way. Too much details about her marital problems. I used to say Mauricio because I always misread it. An interview with Luxury Living. That is today, isn't it? Oh yes. People had caught wind of our new mansion, and at the very moment we left the open house, Luke had boasted he could acquire the property in no time and allowed a photo shoot for an interior design magazine to be scheduled today. Well, there were some complications, and it took longer than it usually does for us. Hopefully I won't have any other unfortunate slip-ups with someone who isn't bound by confidentiality. You're about to have a slip-up with some creepy lady who wants help. The mansion grounds have been one of the first things to be fixed up aside from the bedroom. Although it's still a work in progress, it had a promising start, and I can already see the flower patches. Why am I yawning so much? I'm gonna drink some water. Hydration is key. Luke's favorite daffodils stands out easily, having been transplanted from the pots that I used to litter the rooftop of our penthouse. Why, if the moving crew thought that Luke was being hard on them, they clearly didn't see the landscaper on his way out. The man looked like he was ready to faint, and Luke seemed ready to kill him by the end of their discussion. It is in the gardens that I see him standing near the flowers in quiet admiration. He is hard to miss, the hulk of a man that clearly did not belong, and the big backpack and suitcase he has with him make him look much larger. It is a peculiar sight, seeing someone who looks like he is handling little delicate things with such care. He looks up from the gardens and does a double take before a friendly face replaces his
Miss Wright, yeah? Hi, Zachary Steele here from Luxury Living, ma'am. Hope you weren't waiting too long. But it looks like you're still moving in, huh? Thought for a second there my calendar was wrong and I came here too early.
The one and only.
What's with the red mask?
Welcome to Maison de Right. And yes, we've been in the process of moving in as we were delayed. But it won't be a problem. They're just adding a few things here and there, and you should still be able to do your work. Where's the rest of your crew then, Mr. Steele?
Zach is fine, please. Mr. Steele makes me feel like I'm a mascot for a cleaning product. Anyway, I'll be your one-man crew for today. Don't worry, been doing this gig for a while now.
You must be quite the veteran to handle this on your own. We've had a full crew coming into our penthouse the last time we were covered in your magazine.
Veteran? Oh, your words are too kind, Miss Wright.
Hannah. If I get to call you Zach, you have my permission to call me Hannah.
Hannah.
Alrighty then. Anyway, I'm no veteran, but I know my camera well enough to make sure this is a good shoot. You can trust me on that, Miss Wright, Hannah.
I always, whenever I see the dash, I like impatiently wait so that it can be actually correct. Monsieur le photographe. Monsieur le photographe. Zachary proves quickly enough that I can, in fact, trust him. His skills with the camera and experience in this industry, at the very least. He's kind and courteous, listening and following as I lead him around the house. A really nice fellow, and he treats our household staff well whenever we cross paths with them. I answer his questions to the best of my ability, and he is patient enough to answer mine whenever I get curious enough. For one, I ask what the bags are for. They're quite the magician's toolkit. From inside, he's procured several items to embellish the interior with. Bowls of fruit, lemons, trays with peppermills, stacks of cookbooks, cutting boards, and glass canisters filled with what colorful nuts and grains are brought in for a kitchen setting. For the bathroom, there are white towels, seashells, and decorative set. That's a massive bag, dude. There are other things as well, too numerous to count, all in that large backpack.
Tricks of the trade. Softens up a room, makes a place feel more homey, and fills it up with texture.
I like it.
But you guys probably have better stuff I can use for this.
No lights. Don't tell me all of these are just props.
Well, I've got my tripod here. For things like these, natural light is best. I'll just have to set the shutter speed to a real slow setting, and as long as nobody steps into the shot, it'll look great.
Oh, it better.
Go through the rooms one at a time, although we first tackle the ones that the movers have no business in anymore. The ballroom needs a little preparation with its grand design, although there's some trouble at first with the wide open space and the pictures being backlit. In the kitchen, it is in the kitchen that Zachary props come in handy, considering how Johannes kept the place so neat and sterile one can practically eat off the floor. We carry on touring the house and taking pictures where we can, with the exception to the rooms which have yet to gain any purpose or design. Too bad I can't take a sneak peek at his photos yet. Funnily enough, he's using a traditional camera. I didn't even know film still existed. That's not the sound of a traditional camera, is it? With the way he speaks, however, I can see he knows enough about his craft that I'm not too worried about botched photographs. That's a dress. Okay, because I looked at this as one, like, long muscular leg and another long muscular leg, and I was like, what is that? It's not what this is supposed to be. I imagine photography must be cathartic for him, judging by how at ease he looks while taking pictures. There are small snippets of conversation in between the clicking of the camera. He even goes as far as to talk about these terminologies like shutter speeds and aperture when I ask about the technical aspects. I can't quite see the picture as it is made, much like when I watch artists paint on their canvas, but just watching someone passionately practicing their craft, such as this, is exciting in its own way. Going through the many rooms has been quite the exercise for both of us. Despite that, he's been so nice, I find myself putting on my best smile. But it is as we're taking pictures in the foyer that everything comes to a standstill for a moment. Just a moment, and I have not been paying attention. I wouldn't have even noticed. It's merely a split second when Zachary's rhythm is put to a halt. His finger doesn't move to release the shutter. That's uncomfortable. Yet he also doesn't pull the camera away from his face, gaze still fixed firmly through the viewfinder. His hands shake and there's a light sheen of sweat on his forehead.
Zachary?
No response.
Zach, is something the matter?
Lowering his camera, he blinks and stares at something behind me for shaking his head. Turning around, though, I see nothing that could have gotten his attention.
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
I struggle to respond this time. There's a sudden weight on my back and an indescribable tightness on my throat. Everything stops and everything starts again as I manage to
If
choke
you're
out.
sure.
I don't know what just happened. It was probably just a dizzy spell. I'm fine, and he said he's fine. We continue at the same pace as before, although there's an unspoken agreement that we will not talk about what happened.
So, is this a full-time job for you then?
Nah, I just freelance mostly, for magazines, newspapers, and events. So you can't really call it a full-time job.
That's not... that camera.
It's fun and it puts food on the table, but it's not what I really want to do. At least, not all the time.
What is it that you want to do then?
Maybe I've been out of line, sticking my nose in other people's business, but I can't help but ask. I regret doing so as I see his shoulders slump and the easygoing air he has fades away. He looks torn over whether he wants to
Films,
talk about it or not.
documentaries mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
What thing?
Well, it wasn't really a big thing. People didn't like Blue Fonzie very much.
People don't like a film about colors. I suppose they would have liked Blue Bibby a lot more.
Very funny.
So, Grand Director, do you want to tell me what Blue Fonzie is all about?
He hesitates, but when I refuse to budge on the matter, he gives in and spills it all out. Blue Fonzie, l'air le plus sombre des Noirs Britanniques. Dark blue, the darkest hours of the Black British. He speaks with the passion of one who's gone through the very matter he is concerned with. There's conviction, knowledge, and experience in his speech. Why, I would have told him he's an amazing speaker if only I wasn't so engrossed listening. Prejudice and discrimination in schools and in the workplace. Lesser chances for opportunity and higher chances of being treated like a criminal. He spoke of blacks and people of color in general still being treated like second-class citizens. All because of the color of their skin. It's all just positively riveting and sad. Comes to a point wherein he soon loses steam. He looks abashed, realizing what he had just done.
Sorry, I just got so carried away and...
It's fine. It is really so fascinating to watch people talk about their passion after all. You should see how your eyes light up when you speak so fiercely.
Is he gonna blush?
You do have very beautiful eyes.
Hannah, what are you doing?
Uh-huh. Thanks, I guess.
I want to say I understand where he's coming from, but I really don't, do I? I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I've lived a charmed life. Hasn't been perfect, but the difficulties I've been through pales in comparison to what others experience on a daily basis. Certainly don't know how I would have fared if it were any different. Would I still have met Luke, and would he still have loved me if I was any
What was
lesser?
your home like? These things you talk about. It sounds like well, I don't mean to pry, I mean.
Live with my older sister and my grandparents. We had a shop selling all sorts of things below our flat. And well, I was one of the few non-white, non-British students in class. I didn't get pushed around or anything straight up. Even then, I was one of the biggest kids around.
Feel you, man.
But a pencil and notebook would go missing, you know?
Oh, that I knew. Children can be so cruel at times. Of course, it may be a slightly different story when you have personal guards and the stolen item is not a pencil, but an expensive heirloom.
So what about you? How you liking your new house? It's pretty impressive.
It's nice, I suppose.
You suppose? Not big enough?
What? No, oh, don't be a bully. It's just that.
I understand if you don't want to talk about it.
I was a little girl, all dolled up and treated like fragile porcelain, with nursemaids waiting on me hand and foot. All the material possessions anyone could ever want, I could ask for on a whim, and it would be handed to me just like that. But I barely saw my parents, just goodbye kisses in the morning before they went off to who knows where they were needed to next. I saw them more often on the telly or in the papers than I ever did in
I remember
person.
my old house. It was a lot like this one. Big walls and big halls, but nobody in it. Not really. It makes you think how alone you are.
Pensive mood overcomes us, and there's a moment when neither of us are sure of how to go on from there. Things have gotten a bit too personal, yet it isn't wholly uncomfortable, like as if we've been friends with, like as if, okay.
Well, that's normal, ain't it? You just moved here. You'll make home out of it yet.
It certainly makes it easy to believe that. My childhood house is indeed a lot like this one, just as large and extravagant and just as empty. I hope he's right.
So, Monsieur le Photographe, you've covered the one and only Ermengarde mansion. What's next on the agenda?
The interview?
Boring.
You're right
It's an
behind the
interior
attic
design
door.
and
You should go
housing
upstairs.
magazine.
And they want to know what Miss Wright has to say about her interior design and house.
Honor Wright thinks she bought a magnificent house that she can certainly brag about. Blah, blah. Boring. You know what they should print more of? I watched an interesting documentary the other day. Bleu Foncé, The Darkest Hours of the Black British. I recommend you watch it. Those are the things that people should know about. What do they care if I use a purple or green bowl of fruit in my kitchen?
People, right?
Oui. People are shite.
I like how you should just use his friend for
What do you
like one or
think?
two words.
Do I
over
look
and
good
over.
with this angle?
I strike a pose while he's being busy, taking it back for a moment, probably not expecting me to go and say such a crass word. But he recovers quickly, and after snapping a few shots,
vous êtes belle.
I don't know what that means. You are beautiful.
You want copies of these
Maybe.
ones?
Yes, please. So, the big boy knows French.
Why are you flirting? And you thought your husband moved
You must
by
have
at
wooed a
home.
few ladies. Unless you're into gents. Either way, French is, after all, the language of romance.
Oh, I don't know about quoting fancy poetry, but I've made lunch for a girl before, and they did like that fancy French cuisine.
I love this guy.
Can you cook your best?
I can cook just about anything as long as I know the recipe.
C'est magnifique.
It has been too long since I've had a nice and proper chat with a good friend. You've decided he's your friend. No, Lee is certainly not a good friend. And although we've just met, Zachary's the sort who can probably befriend anyone. He's just as a comfortable person to be around with. A bit too comfortable. The photo shoot went by a breeze. And somewhere along the way, as we talk and laugh, I find myself getting a bit too close without realizing. I told you you're I told you you can't. You're being not facetious. What's the word? It's an easy word. A hypocrite. Oh my gosh, that was so difficult. He'll give me this strange look until I back off, and he'll go back to asking questions after I agreed. He'll go back to asking questions after I agreed to do his little interview, and it's just odd. Well, no, me being friendly isn't that odd. That's how I am. Zachary is the one that's being odd. Why anyone else would absolutely welcome the extra attention I give them. Okay, so that's why you're interested. He's the one that you can't have. He, on the other hand, looks almost flustered about it. He should be used to different personalities by now, having to deal with various people when he works. And if not, he needs to start. Perhaps nobody's shown him attention of this kind, but he's a big boy and he should be able to handle me. That's not okay. After all it is a friendly touch here, a pretty smile there, and a gentle swaying of the hips as I move around. That's what your husband does on a different level. You can't be a hypocrite, dude. Zachary grew and grew more red every time he noticed. Am I being mean as I find enjoyment in seeing him unravel? Perhaps. This went on during the interview, and beyond that, there's nothing wrong with what we were doing, right? Zachary and I are just having a playful, friendly chat while enjoying the outside view. Yeah, sure, that's what it is. At least
I'm
that's how I see
sorry,
it.
but I'm really getting distracted. Could you maybe stop doing that?
Stop. I love this guy. I love this guy so much. He's so cool. It's just that can you stop, please? Well, if I continue, I think it's gonna worsen my relationship with. Yeah. I didn't actually plan on continuing. I'm so curious.
I'll stop if it makes you uncomfortable, sweetie.
Sweetie.
Sorry.
No, I should be the one apologizing. Why, you're a shy one, aren't you, big guy?
It's not that, but
Gestures to the ring on my finger. My only sunshine. And lets the fact of the matter hang heavily between us. Being told implicitly that I'm too forward is not a common occurrence. I think I'm more stunned by the fact that he pointed it out rather than, well, being rejected. Not that anything is going to happen between us in the first place. Oh, Chicky Doodle, you need to chill. It was just going to be some harmless flirting, right?
So, you've never had a girlfriend?
no boyfriend either. You know, just in case you were gonna ask for that one next.
And you haven't even had your first
Oh
kiss?
boy, Hannah.
Not a one, man.
Chill.
Do you want
Hannah.
to have your first kiss today?
Chill, Hannah. What are you doing? Oh my gosh, you're worse than your husband. Holy hell. I can't help it. Yeah, you can. I really can. I'm going to apologize lots later. Oh my gosh. I've never looked at these instructions. I'm just blocking the screen for a moment. Give me a second. You're an idiot, Hannah. Surely by the catty smile on my face, it's obvious I'm just pulling his leg. I laugh as the laugh I failed to contain certainly gives it away if it still isn't obvious. But still, he lights up in embarrassment, stammering and stuttering out.
You're married, and this will be extremely unprofessional.
I never said I would kiss you, silly. Oh, Johan!
No, what? No, don't call your butt.
That'll be for the better. I don't think his husband would appreciate it if I made him kiss another man. I do not think he can hear us from here either. But it is hard to think you're not taken, Zachary. Why, whoever becomes your girlfriend will be so lucky to have you. You can cook and take wonderful photographs, wonderful meals and wonderful memories.
I can play guitar too.
You can? Oh my. Wonderful serenades as well then. Perhaps I can find a young lady who deserves a fine, strapping young gentleman like yourself.
Let's not get carried away.
I like his sweatshirt. That's a nice color green.
Besides, I gotta be going. It's getting late and I got someplace else to be.
A shame. I will be expecting you again soon, I hope. For a copy of my photographs, yes?
Of course, I'll even deliver them personally.
How nice of you, Zachary.
Just, don't try to make me kiss your butler when I drop by.
As fate would have it, that very moment the words leave his mouth, Johannes comes out of the house. Judging by the slight raise of his eyebrows, he has heard only the tail end of the sentence.
There shall be no kissing of any butlers under this roof. Danke.
But you are not under a roof, are you, Hansi?
To my amusement, he takes a step back, safely placing him within the threshold of the foyer and under the roof of the house. And just as ever, he is quick to return with a sardonic reply.
I am now. As I was saying, madam, it's about time
I like
for supper.
Johannes. He's cool. He's sarcastic.
Will I be needing to set an extra place at the table?
Oh, what? No, I was just leaving, actually.
Oh no, she's going to invite him in.
So, you have a good night, Hannah, and You too, handsy.
It was nice to meet you, Zach, honey. You have a safe trip.
He nods, and the grin on his face as we say our goodbyes is the sweetest that I've ever seen. I linger looking out for him with his relatively tiny bicycle, backpack safely secured in the basket by the front, and suitcase hooked to the back. I watch as he went down the path to Ansem Village until he's nothing more than a blip in the horizon. I cannot help the small smile on my face as I go inside for supper. Entering the dining hall causes me so much confusion. Ooh. And I met Zachary Steele, a freelance photographer from Luxury Living, an interior design magazine. Zachary was tasked to interview Hannah and take pictures of the mansion and its new owners. What should have been a professional meeting ended up being friendly and perhaps too personal. And that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad at all. I'm impressed with myself. Entering the dining hall causes me so much confusion. It's dark. For a moment I thought the electric was not up to par, but it's clearly not the case as every other room is bright with artificial light. Finding the light switch is a monumental task considering the size and my unfamiliarity with the room. To make matters worse, the darkness grants the room a different atmosphere, eerie and frightening. Are we going to hear in the background? It takes longer than I thought to find the switch, something that will have to be rectified later on. My skin starts to prickle, and there's a distinct feeling of being watched. It unsettles me and only spurs me on in my search. And when I do open the lights, there's a hiss.
I'll turn the lights down, woman!
He's wasted. There at the end of the hall is my beloved husband with his face in one hand and a glass in the other. Perhaps I can let it go if it's only one glass of wine. However, I can feel myself go livid after I see the toxic green liquid gleam mockingly.
Luke, what? Are you drinking absinthe?
Whoa!
You know what the doctor said. Absinthe, Luke. Are you actively trying to kill yourself? Because if you are, we can just hit you with a bloody car.
Honeybee, Buttercup, not too loud, please. Besides, it's Lelouch, not too strong. Just hair of the dog that bit me. Helps with the hangover, dearest.
No, that's not what it does.
You drank?
Idiot.
When?
This morning, love. Don't be mad. I just needed a few drinks, having to deal with those simpletons. And maybe I had one too much. You don't see me whinging about you leaving me to handle them on my own.
I had to attend the photo shoot and interview with Luxury Living. You know that. Let's not make this about me, Luke.
Can't be drinking.
This is about you and your drinking problem and...
Oh, I don't know, Hannah, darling. What if my drinking problem, as you like to call it, is linked to you? If we think about it that way, this discussion is about you. That was pretty mean of you, leaving me alone to do all the work like that. You can't use the interview as an excuse either, honey. I was informed the moment your little interview was done. So, what was it then, What were you doing?
I'm gonna say I was tending the garden.
I was just tending to the garden, sweetie.
See, because it's bad there.
I was just tending to the garden, sweetie.
You were?
For a moment, he looks skeptical. I can tell by the gleam in his eyes and the way he sits up with attention. He thinks I'm lying, but I see no point in bringing up Zachary and aggravating him. I did tend to the gardens for a bit. It's not a complete lie. Just a little white lie. Besides, I know just how to please him. Sauntering over and circling round him, I place my fingers on his shoulders. He lets out a little groan before melting like butter as I massage his shoulders.
I had to make sure they didn't ruin your favorite daffodils.
Oh, that is wonderful.
That face looks like the freaking drama mask that they always have, the smile and the sad one. That's horrifying. Not sure if he means the massage of the flowers, but I'll take it. This is better than a
So,
fight.
absinthe.
Just one glass, Loosh.
I suppose I can let this one go. A bit too late anyway. You've already drank half the thing.
I was going to say, I bet Zachary's next.
But remember your doctor's orders.
Yes, I'll try to drink less.
Try.
Hey, I'm only human. Do you want one?
No, thank you.
Supper is spent in silence with nothing but the occasional sound of silverware. A grand feast has been served, well grander than usual anyway, most likely due to loose complaints of stress. A platter of native oysters For starters, and a tranche of turbot with purple sprouting broccoli, lemon, capers, and anchovy sauce for the mains. To finish it all off, black tea and golden syrup sponge pudding with custard. That was very weird emphasis I put on that. But when our appetites are appeased and the plates are cleared, Luke stands, kisses me goodnight, and leaves me to stare at my half-empty cup. Lonely in the lull of the night, I sit in a house too big and too empty, foreign and unwelcoming. Even with its warm tone and homely decor, it feels cold. There's no need for tears, however. I know I can get through this like every other obstacle I've faced before. This is a minor setback in what I hope will be a long and happy life. To remind myself that this place is for Luke and for our future children fills me with a renewed vigor. Besides, it looks like someone is having a cry already. The wailing is far away and muffled, yet at the same time it shakes me to my very core as I hear it. As if the suffering is just standing right beside me. Hearing it sends a chill down my spine and makes my skin prickle with goosebumps. Who is that? During supper, Hannah found Luke drinking absinthe, and this caused an argument. While Hannah was angered by her husband's drinking problem, Luke was suspicious of his wife's activities, having not seen her the whole afternoon despite finishing the Luxury Livings interview early. Then there was this crying woman. Curiosity sinks in as I follow the sorrowful sound into the kitchen and into the wine cellar's hatch.
Hello? Is anybody down there?
Save. I'm curious and concerned, but there's no way I'm going down into a dark and humid underground. I'm not as enthusiastic as Luke, who considers himself quite the connoisseur. However, I also cannot bring myself to go to bed with this racket going on. If it is one of the household help, they will surely need some talking. After all, this wouldn't be the first time I've gone and found one of the maids sobbing their eyes out over one thing or another. As professional as our staff are, they are still human. More often than not, it was either Johannes or I who'd calm them down and who'd help them figure out how to go on about things. Fortunately, I'm not in high spirits right now, and so I'm not as wholly benevolent. Oh, now I can save. Which do I do? Which do I do? I think I'm gonna call him out. I knock 3 times, waiting for any sort of reply. Yields me no results, and I've already touched the floor heads far too many times than what I'd like. Take a deep breath before reaching out again to whoever's inside. I've learned from experience that people respond better to kindness than threats. Shouting angrily will not
You,
help.
in the cellar! Do come out! We don't want Luke waking up and finding you in there, do we? That man would go ballistic thinking someone was trying to steal his precious wine.
Still nothing.
You can have a good cry. Just not in there, yes? Why don't you come out here and we can have a cuppa and you can tell me all about whatever it is you're bawling about?
How long I'm standing here, however, I'm starting to think myself as a fool. I did not want to acknowledge the other feeling I have, especially as the wailing took an eerie turn. The thought of being played with didn't sit too well with me, and I had to stop myself from getting too hot-headed as I tried.
Now, you come out of there! That is an order from the lady of the house, do you hear me? Why, I ought to...
I freeze as a hand clamps down on my shoulder. The dread I've been feeling all this time makes itself known to me as I yield, unmoving, not even daring to breathe. I can feel my heart pounding against my chest. But the touch is gone as quickly as it has seized me. It's only Johannes when I look back.
Apologies, madam, for touching you like that. You were not responding to my voice, and you looked about ready to wake the whole mansion up.
I was... I'm sorry. I was getting rather loud, wasn't I? But that crying woman in there, we must do something about her.
He grows silent for a moment and just looks concerned. At least I'd like to interpret it as concern, given how stoic our head butler usually is, or rather it must have been concern as he takes off a glove and presses the back of his hand at my forehead before his worrisome inquiry.
I beg your pardon. What? Crying woman? Are you feeling well, madam?
In the cellar. Can't you hear her?
Madam, Hannah, no one is down there.
What?
The cellar is locked. Only Luke and I have duplicates of the keys. Nobody is down there.
I stare at him in disbelief. But when I listen once more, I hear no crying. Tugging at the hatch for good measure proves his words to be true too. You know what that means? We gotta go back. Yoo-hoo, McFly. I may not be going down, but there's no point in talking through closed doors. What kind of relationship did that chance? I think that's an error. Or hatches in this case. The thing refuses to budge until there's a soft click and it swings free. As I lift up the hatch and look, a sense of uneasiness washes over me. It isn't just the sudden onset of vertigo and nausea, but also the dark. It's suffocating. I look down, it feels still looking back at me. I worry that something will suddenly pull me into the deep. Well, guess what? You're about to get your worry. I can hear her whispering, calling for me. She wants me, needs me. She wants to drown me, pull me down, and suffocate me in her embrace until I sink to the bottom. A deep abyss waits, inviting yet foreboding. She's calling to me from down there, isn't she? And I do want to help, I do. I'm ready for the jump, but the shadow's starting to creep out, and the feeling of apprehension keeps me in place. Already it paints the room in a darker light. It's like the dream all over again. There's a hook in my stomach as well, but this time it doesn't pull me back. Instead it pulls me forward. There's a lurching sense. Is that blood? A mist of blood. And the feeling that follows after is hard to explain. It feels like I'm watching myself from the sidelines, a spectator to my actions or lack thereof. I want myself to snap from this detached feeling, to move, to do anything except to stare at myself. And for a moment I see the look of fear in my own face. I'm back in my body, but the hook in my stomach is no longer the only one. There are hooks everywhere, tearing and pulling at my skin, flesh and bones. They pull me in every direction, and it hurts. It hurts so much, but I can't bring myself to scream out. So somebody else is going to do it for you.
Help me.
Checked it. Oh. These why would you pick B and G? Resist the goat. Wait, what? Oh no. I've completely changed things. I like this version better. It's okay. I had to do quick time events. I'm so fast. I'm so speedy. I'm agile. I can press the B and G keys with great speed and wit. I wake from a deep slumber. I'm gonna save you. I'm an idiot. That's what I am. It takes a while with the fog that's settled in my head and with my heavy limbs. But soon enough I manage to look around. I'm in our bedroom already, though I do not recall going there. Luke slumbers beside me, looking peaceful and angelic. It doesn't matter. I'm safe and I feel better than ever. Tomorrow better days will come. How much do I got? I got probably one more day of this left in me. Luke is already gone by the time I rise. There isn't even a single hide nor hair of him to be found, and trying to call him on his mobile is a bust, as it only goes straight to his voicemail. That's twice in a row he's gone on me. And for him to disappear today, of all days, is every bit upsetting because of what's to come. It's the anniversary. The morning is once again filled with a whirlwind of activity. Fortunately, I'm much more refreshed as I took a break from my responsibilities. I haven't the faintest clue where Luke was yesterday. Today's going to be a busy day, although unlike Wednesday, the master of the house isn't here right now, absent once again from his duties. Hopefully he'll be back in time for the party. This is our house, after all. A grand housewarming party for the wonderful Wright Mansion. Every person of importance from Luxburn is invited, and there will be a few guests flying in as well. Of course, there will be some people from the media, along with friends and acquaintances who are made no less important regardless of their status in society. Marianne and I discussed business and last-minute touches to the house before finalizing everything. I'm yawning again. I need a drink. Not that there's much to change from our original plans. Bar any huge additions to the property itself, the mansion is nearly 100%
You have
complete.
certainly exceeded expectations, Marianne. Everything looks so marvelous, and in such a short time, too.
Well, I can't take all the credit. People have certainly been enthusiastic about the idea of working on the Wright mansion. There won't be any more problems unless Mr. Wright has any more objections about the second bedroom.
Luke and I had a small tiff about making the second bedroom into a child's playroom, which I insisted is completely practical. In the end, he had to acquiesce. He acquiesced. I didn't give him any choice in the matter. I even bought this wonderful wooden crib from the antique store yesterday, including some toys, just in case anyone brings their baby, of course. Besides, we have little need for actual guest rooms. We hardly have guests who spend the night. And if we actually absolutely had to, we often choose to foot the bill for their visit on one of our hotels instead, always at Luke's own insistence. And on the off chance that we actually let someone stay, the bedroom is in the opposite wing, is still up to
Oh,
the
no,
task.
no. We proceed with that room as planned. I already agreed to him having his greenhouse and his vineyard and his stables. You may as well let me have this one
Stables.
thing.
No, I did not agree to him having a helipad.
All right then. Well, do we have any other concerns? Anything we need to put on our agenda before the party commences?
No, I don't think so. Not unless Luke has anything else to say.
Is he around then? It'd be best if we can note down his request right away, considering the scope of his usual ones.
Around? No. Where is he? Who knows where? I don't.
No, he's not around.
She didn't have to point out the obvious now, did she? After 7 long years, I'd already gotten used to him. I should be by now. Still not, apparently.
But don't you have a party?
I want nothing more than to complain, to whinge about how unfair this is. However, airing out one's dirty laundry is simply taboo among high society. To do so will make you a red target for the next dinner party chit-chat. Vultures, a lot of them, really. Or most of them, at least. There are always good ones, like Rochelle Lee. But put your trust in the wrong person and you'll find yourself eagerly picked apart.
Yes. But Luke's just being a sweetie, you see. That friend he's visiting. He's having marital problems and he's just trying to cheer him up.
Perhaps I'm being a bit too rash, a bit too hot-headed in divulging details, but I thought myself clever with a plan to dress it up as gossip. Marianne's raised brow makes me unsure whether she's interested or not, although that does make things better if she has no interest and therefore has no hidden intent to utilize what I may say.
They've been married for a long time and they've hit a... how do they say it? A rough patch. His wife has a drinking problem and can be very neglectful. The poor thing really does his best to be a good husband, but it's never enough for her. Sometimes I think it's the years. Maybe it's been so long that they've lost that romantic spark. What do you think?
What do I think of the matter, ma'am?
No, what do you think of my hair? It feels so lifeless and dull today, and that's no good for a party. And I think I'm breaking out into zits.
That's
Now
stress.
that you mention it, there is something different.
There better not be something on my face.
I wouldn't worry about that. You do look a little paler than usual, ma'am. I apologize if I'm crossing any lines here, but have you been resting properly?
Huh. You'd think I get a bit tanned with how sunny it's been lately.
No, you're Brits. You're Brits. You don't get tanned. That's the Irish in me. British. No, you won't get tanned. You're the British.
Don't you
You've got a
worry.
British eye.
I feel right as rain and never better.
Well, it's sunny, not rainy.
But back to the matter at hand.
You were asking for my personal opinion on the matter, ma'am? Do you want me to be honest, or...
Like, when don't I want people to be honest?
Be honest with me, Marianne. I don't need someone to
There we
sugarcoat
go.
it. I'm not some fragile thing that I'm just going to break down at the slightest thing.
She hesitates, taking a sip of her coffee while I stare into my own cup of tea. Silence stretches on, and I almost believe she'll never answer my question. I suppose I shouldn't blame her, putting her in a tight spot like this. Her hesitation is understandable, though. I loathe to admit it. She simply wants this whole thing to stay professional. But then she speaks.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I need to ask. This is about you and Mr. Wright, isn't it?
It's my turn to hesitate now. I really didn't expect such a straightforward question. And to get to the heart of the matter, I suppose I'm not as clever as I'd like to think. Or is it really that bad that an outsider can see our little marital troubles? No, you're not subtle at all. Surely we aren't that obvious, are we? We put on the act of the perfect couple for years, although it hasn't always been an act. Marianne is just more keen than the average person, of course. It's a necessity to her career. She's been working so closely with us. Yes, that's...
Suppose it is. What would you tell me?
Then, I tell you it's none of my business. I tell you that I don't want to meddle. But if the troubled husband with the neglectful wife asked me for my honest opinion, I'd say that he shouldn't base his happiness and his self-worth on someone else. Someone who won't even give him the time of the day. Maybe he should try being independent for a while. See what it's like when he isn't trying to please someone else and doing things for
That's
himself.
good, except for don't call
Everyone's
it having
supposed to be
affair.
their own man or woman, right? A bit of breathing room never hurt anyone. That's just my 2 pence worth, of course.
So you're saying they should divorce?
That's not what
Nothing
she
as
said.
drastic as that. If they're afraid that it might lead to just that, then maybe that is what's meant to happen in the first place. We shouldn't let our fear control our lives, but it's just a short hiatus is all. Or, couples therapy? Look, I'm really not the best person to ask about relationships. So grain of salt and all that.
She trails off, having said her piece, and that's the wrong piece. and leaves nothing but the smell of coffee and Earl Grey between us. There's a calm despite the nature of what's just been discussed. To say that her words make me start to think is an understatement. To say that I'm not considering her advice is a lie. And to say this might just be the calm before the storm is a possibility. Others have had shorter marriages, yes, but plenty have celebrated long and happy ones as well. My own parents celebrated their choral anniversary before they passed away. But 7 years? 7 years isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. It isn't a whole lot of time to see what and where a relationship can bring us, and at the same time, 7 years, well, it hasn't been entirely made up of unhappy years, has it? It won't last forever, and it's not supposed to anyway. I just dread the thought that it might last for a very long time. I dread the thought that these small spats, these little disagreements will turn out into an all-out resentment. The idea that we will grow to hate each other with every fiber of our being scares me. I can't even pinpoint the exact moment when our blissful union turned sour. When did he start to seek other women, lacking any ulterior motives? When did we start to cooperate only to suit our materialistic greed and attention-seeking ways, money and success, fame and glamour? Are those the only reasons we still stay together? There's a cough before Marianne clears her throat. I must have been quiet for so long I move to apologize when she stands up. We both end up on our feet, unsure of how to proceed. Some sort of awkward shuffle occurs as we decide whether to sit back down.
I really should handle what's left of the work.
You won't be attending the party? Oh, you really must, Marianne.
I'll try to stay and chat. Maybe grab a few bites and a drink, but I can't be around for the entirety of the event. My apologies. Busy, busy, busy.
You must stay a while. I'd love for you to meet some of my friends, and they're ever so excited to meet you. You need to say hello to the Lees, at least. If it wasn't for them, I'd never even heard of you.
We'll see. So, if I can be excused?
Certainly. You'll have to excuse me as well. I must attend to the party before any early birds arrive, because, believe me, they will throw a fuss if things aren't ready, even when they're not supposed to be here until an hour later.
Whatever happened to fashionably late? The scene outside the parlor is a great organized mess. Aside from our own household help, we hired the service of a temp agency which provides staff for Wright Enterprise in the hospitality sector. Hannah and Marianne were seen discussing the mansion's finishing touches before the housewarming party. On a whim, Hannah asked for Marianne's opinion about a certain couple having marital problems, leaves the former with something to think about after the latter excused herself from attending the party. Even our very skilled staff cannot undertake a party of this size on their own. Waiters, busboys, hostesses, and their staff captains move about in drones carrying crockery and serveware good for several dozen people. And then some. Chefs and bartenders tail after Johannes, looking like scared little children as he escorts them through the kitchen and into the wine cellar to peruse the stocks and select what can be served at the party and what can be used for cooking.
Schnell! We have a lot to do, and I believe we did not hire snails. Snails are for the dishes.
Escargot! The string quartet readies up to play for the evening, tuning their instruments as they fill the air with idle chatter. Floral decor worth thousands fill vases, wreaths, and baskets, while petals are scattered along the driveway up front. An ice sculpture of a reindeer is brought in carefully by a pair. That's awesome looking. Is followed by a simple cake, just a 5-tier white chiffon one with white chocolate mousse, fresh berries, and a light dusting of edible gold leaf. That's all. But despite the fact that I've told Marianne how I will attend to all this, I find myself unable to focus or care for any of it. I still have our discussion running in my mind, and looking at all this, I only see Luke everywhere. These are all the grand things Luke wanted to have for the party. I had wanted a small, elegant, and simple gathering, with only a select few invited, namely the people who I would actually trust to enter my home. I did not want any bloody politicians or paparazzi in here, no matter how used I am to
At least be here for your party. Damn it, Luke.
The entire thing screamed Luke Wright, and I can't help but add another question to my growing list of queries. When did I lose myself? It's always about him nowadays, isn't it? What about Hannah Wright? What about Hannah Evans? I used to be my own woman who made her own name, her own career, and her own decisions. Sure, I was already the social butterfly that I am. I still am today, but it wasn't all empty, shallow gossip and sitting pretty. I was also lauded for my knowledge and talent. Finance manager wasn't just handed to me just because my father owned the company. I'd insisted I started at the bottom so I could work my way to the top and prove myself, and I did. I worked numbers, managed budgets, money, and accounts, analyzing the competition and market trends. There was the calculation of financial risk, cost reduction opportunities, auditor, liaison, and public relations supervision of staff, and while I generally had a huge slew of responsibilities. Admittedly, I was already quite the attention seeker even back then, having dedicated most of my youth to craving for my parents' approval. Failing that, I turned to others, looking for praise from anyone who'd give it, however fleeting it all was. And Luke, oh Luke, the way he looked at me, the way he watched me and took a genuine interest. He had me disgustingly obsessed since day one, hasn't he? He saw me for me, Hannah Evans, with both my faults and my achievements. The man didn't treat me like some damsel in distress or some prize to be won. I remember the nights before we were married when we talked about everything and anything, from big things like business, society, and philosophy to little things such as what we had for breakfast and whether we liked cats or dogs more. We both prefer dogs. Nowadays, I'm just Luke Wright's wife. It's mostly my fault, isn't it? They told me that husbands preferred wives who are docile and subordinate, a woman who will always be there for him, yet would never outshine him in all aspects except beauty. A wife needs to be at home and attend to his needs, to have children and to take care of them in his absence. He said I have no business working anymore after I was married. I can blame society, but I listened. Before I can fall further into this introspective pit of self-loathing, someone calls for
The
my
guests have
attention.
arrived, madam.
And Luke?
Running a bit late, I'm afraid.
Late for his own party. That man, I swear. He's probably looking to make a dramatic
Please don't be
entrance, knowing
drunk.
him. Open the doors then. We mustn't tarry.
Cars line up at the driveway, peppering the front of the mansion with vehicles of every kind, grand tours, supercars, even the odd high-end muscle car or two. Convertibles, grand saloons, and other luxury cars can be seen being parked by valets. A handful of cabs drive off, possibly for those who thought it too troublesome to bring their own cars. There are at least 2 different media bands as well. They're all here for what may be considered the biggest event of the year for Luxburn. So far, who knows what we'll plan
Welcome,
for the
welcome
winter
everyone.
holidays.
Please, make yourselves at home.
Some of the guests idle, enjoying the warm, if not strange, sunshine we're experiencing before gloomy skies inevitably return. They greet acquaintances and friends with warm smiles, others less so. From where I stand, I see the hierarchy of power, the ties that bind these individuals here, whether through convenience or necessity. However, there are also a few who are not here to further cement their current place in high society, such as that young man with his oriental air, ignorant of the looks he receives from women and men
Be
alike.
careful with Shirley, alright?
Or that rose-haired woman talking on her phone while she looks unsure why she's here exactly.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
I see Zachary, the photographer, as well. He talks to a few of the other media crew with an air of familiarity.
I was just here a few days ago, yeah. And the inside is huge, but the staff are pretty helpful if you get lost.
I'd invited Father Norman, too. It's the least I can do after he blessed the mansion on my request, aside from my small donation to the church, of course. But the poor man had taken ill and went through a nervous breakdown of some sort the other day. And then there are people like the chief inspector. People who I can never be too sure about. I'm not a fan of him. People who stand on the border between being suspicious
Thank
and
you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again.
She told me she'll just be in the garden. Bet she's lying and that she's somewhere around mingling, gossiping with the other ladies. No offense, but that seems to be all you ladies do at these parties.
And aren't you gossiping right now?
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
Like,
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing. Don't tell me, let me guess. He's finally drunken himself to death and not wanting a scandal. You've hidden his body. I was wanting to give this housewarming gift to him personally, too. It's a plate that holds a wine glass so he can stop killing himself with liquid lunches. Looks like it's too late for that.
Nothing like that. Besides, this is a hardly polite conversation.
Oh, relax. I'm just trying to be cheeky to lighten the mood. It's not like I want Luke dead. The man doesn't serve dodgy plonk like the others when I visit, and he pays his respects well enough. I could use a glass of wine or 3, actually. Michelle's been in a horrid mood. Threw her stilettos at me the other day and almost took an eye out. Not sure if this is how it usually goes, but I blame the pregnancy.
I wouldn't know, would I?
Still no plans for a baby? I guess that's for the best. If it's this bad now, I can't even imagine how bad it'll be when that little baby bump becomes huge.
Have I mentioned how I don't trust him no matter how hard I try to do so? At least he brought a gift,
Why
I
don't
suppose.
you just go inside and have some wine, Lee?
Think I will, thanks.
Greetings such as this carry on as the guests continue to trickle in. Whether we have short conversations or merely shake hands and nod heads, I make sure to attend and welcome each of them. As the first hours pass us by, the rest of the stragglers and I adjourn to the ballroom. Any latecomers will have the attention of the porter instead. I have other duties to attend to now. Hosting parties is always the same old song and dance, no matter how big or small it is. Make sure your guests are well fed, have good company, and have them generally enjoy themselves. So when my opening remarks are done, when the band has started to play and the guests have started eating, I find myself wandering around aimlessly until I'm pulled aside. For a while I stay with a small group and entertain them before excusing myself, and when they're not anymore watching me, I end up watching them. When they don't listen, I do. A local banker is having trouble with his daughter. He wishes to marry her off, but she wants nothing more but to make music. One of our hotel managers worry about the stolen belongings of one of his patrons, failing in security, which should be brought up to a higher authority soon. Our mayor, well, his cat died. Then there's that rose-haired woman once again. It's hard not to notice her with her distinctive locks. She also lacks the grace the other ladies have, though that does not make her any less beautiful. Her stance and the airs she exudes instead are strong, and they make her stand out despite her casual attire. Many men have already given her the attention, though each invitation to dance has been turned down. As I approach, intrigued, although it's no great mystery what occupies her own attention, the glances she keeps sending towards the boy with the oriental hair. She remains unaware, though, even as I stand beside her, pretending I'm there for a
You
drink.
would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
Boy comes over, but I do nothing to speak any softer. He merely passes by, and it's a wonder he doesn't hear
Who,
what I
Ash?
say.
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down his offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
In all my life, I've never seen a face grow red so fast. The shade of her hair did not help as well. This is the most pink I've seen a person, really.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Nanny here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
Yeah, not
That's
at all.
right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
I waver as I feel the burning of someone's stares. It's chilling, and although I'm used to enduring the gaze of others, this one makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Oh, saw, dude. Nice of you to show up. Good. Need some eyelids. My attention is pulled from a girl, and I see a woman staring. Dark-haired and dirty, she looks more like a beggar than a guest, and I have half the mind to call security at her when her mouth breaks in a grin. All I hear is her laughing, taunting. Her stare makes my blood run cold. She looks at me like I'm nothing but a pig to slaughter for her amusement. Makes my hand shake, and I nearly drop my drink. But then in a blink, she's gone, and the buzz of the party
I'll
returns.
keep that in mind, but are you all right?
Yes, sorry. I just thought I saw something strange. It must be the trick of the light. Anyway, on a right, as you must already know.
Rebecca Gales.
Gales.
The name is familiar, like a fond memory. I recall a kind lady, a private tutor who treated me like her own daughter when I was young. She'd even bring me food when there was no need to do so, usually Stobies, which I honestly hadn't been too keen about, although I ate them nonetheless because she brought them
Oh,
for me.
the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way. But yeah, that's me. Little Becky.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses! And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A. What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele.
The more I list off names, the more red and the more quiet Becky gets. Starts to look a little bit miserable as her body language shows discomfort and stiffness. Perhaps I've triggered a horrible childhood memory. Surely I hadn't been mean when she visited with her mother. I don't quite remember all of it.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
And a tad bit sad.
So, this is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little
Stop freaking
infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
Or should
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it. But what do I know?
There's a grimace, although she starts to relax around my presence. How long has it been since we met as children? Certainly a long time. She was tiny back then, if I recall correctly. She's not much
I'm
bigger
sure
now.
the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about. But have you told him how you feel? And it's been what? 20 years?
Oh, jeepers.
17, actually. But no, not yet. He can be a bit dense. I was hoping that maybe he'd notice on his own and...
Well, that won't
doesn't
do.
work.
What if you two become husband and wife? He's not to be dense when he's sworn himself to another person. Why, you might just as well consider leaving before the day's even begun.
If that happens, I'll have to give him a good ear bashing, won't I? Whoever anyone ends up with. It's not going to be a perfect relationship anyway. There's going to be things you'll love and things you'll hate about the other person. We're
Hannah,
just
you didn't
humans.
even ask for this advice again.
It's funny. Here I am, trying to give you advice when you did the very same thing back then. I remember you giving me a makeover when we were still kids. And you were the first I told anyone about my crush.
I do remember now that she mentions it. Did I give her that yellow summer dress or the pink blouse and petticoat? She must have kept some of what I said in mind. Feels ridiculous remembering all these years later talking about boys and how they go crazy for pretty girls as if it's some gospel about every woman that every woman should adhere to. It's so easy to say such things then, me not knowing any better. Now looking at her now, she must have kept some of what I said in mind. Perhaps I did say something good at that time, enough for her to take it to heart. But all that didn't matter in the moment as I mull over what she's just said in my head. What Becky told me is very different from what Marianne told me. There's no time to ponder over that, however, as a hush descends upon the once lively crowd. The music of strings and the chatter slows to a grinding halt as the doors from the foyer opens. The last of the latecomers should have arrived moments ago, and anyone this late would be too embarrassed to show their face. Oh, it's Luke, and he's drunk, so this can only be one person, or rather one man. There's only one man who's audacious enough to arrive at his own party so late.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the Wright Mansion.
Unlike I, who was raised in the spotlight and simply grew used to its presence, he sought it out every chance he could, even when there was no spotlight that shone. And I'll never put it against him when he smiles like that. He did so quite brilliantly under the scrutiny when he channels his showmanship. You can tell by the way people's eyes light up as he speaks, how they listen enraptured, even if all he's doing is a simple greeting. A little wave of his hands here, a little smile there, and a bit of swagger. I always tell him that if he's not to be a businessman, he'd do well as an entertainer. I love this side of him, especially when he looks at me and he beckons me over to humbly share his place. Not a single second is wasted as I excuse myself from Becky's
Welcome
side.
one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone.
There's a round of applause, some cheers, even some hoots. The guests approach us left and right to shake Luke's hand and greet him personally, praises on their lips. It's because of this that I do not see her. I do not see her until she's dangerously close with fury in her eyes and she's already spitting venom. Johannes restrains her, taking care not to unnecessarily harm the pregnant woman. That does little to deter her rage, and the man has no choice but to let her go, lest an unborn child is her. Wait, I have another journal thing. Our mansion officially opened its doors with a grand housewarming feast. Zachary Steele, Ashton, Trey, Gray. I can't tell if that's Trey or Gray. And Rebecca Gales, no, that's Trey. We're seen attending. However, what was supposed to be a day of merriment turned sour when Rochelle Lee, the chief inspector's wife, accused Luke Wright of fathering her unborn babe. Ooh! Although it might be too late for that as I see an empty glass of wine in her hand. How much has she imbibed in?
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
No! Shut it, you munter! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
She interrupts me, jabbing a finger in my direction before she rounds on Luke. Even as whispers and murmurs break out among the guests, all I can focus on is the heat of the moment. Obviously intoxicated, judging by the smell of alcohol on her breath, I'm not ticked off about this little display of hers, at least not yet, but I'm absolutely PO'd by the fact that she'd endanger her own baby drinking. There's considerable amount of restraint and grace I must exercise while I wait for her tantrum to subside. I keep a patient if tight smile on my face. Luke's expression, on the other hand, is indecipherable.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
I did.
And I told you with great emphasis not to. Now we have a drunk, hormonal, pregnant woman causing a stir. What is even going on?
I'm just about to ask that exact
I
same
don't
thing.
know. But Rochelle, do calm down before you hurt yourself. I can't understand a word you're saying.
Where is that husband of yours? Lee! Collect your wife right now!
Don't you fucking talk like I'm not here and you're not responsible, you ass! You told me that I should wait for you in the gardens!
Excuse me. What is this nonsense you're going on about?
Crazy talk. That's all it is. Just completely and utterly mad. Has anyone seen the chief inspector?
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility. God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do
honest,
this to me.
Silent guy in the background. What?
What do you mean you're pregnant with Luke? Is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby? Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
Sure, he said she wants me. Now that Johans returns with security along with the concerned-looking Officer Lee, they surround her and move to escort the hysterical woman. Judging by his pale face, he's heard the whole thing. I feel nothing but pity for the man. Not that I believe Rochelle. Luke will never go so far as to sleep with another woman.
I'm so sorry for her behavior. She's been under a lot of stress. And the alcohol. Talking nonsense, that's all it is. You're not allowed to drink because of the baby, Shelley. What are you thinking?
Nothing to see here, people. Move along.
Is there really nothing here but ramblings of a drunk? Of course they're nothing but ramblings of a drunk. She's just jealous of this wonderful marriage, the happily ever after I have with my prince.
Take that troll up out of here immediately. And see to it that she isn't allowed here or anywhere we hold any authority in Luxborn.
To be banned from anything with the right name on it is basically social suicide. We practically own half of Luxburn, and there isn't a single establishment of repute that isn't under our patronage one way or another. This is mercy. I can do much worse to her. At least this way she can move about the city and never ever return. I've stayed my hand in the face of her grievous fault, her bold-faced lies when she deserves so much more. I can take away her business and have her factory shut down. It is too easy to ruin her life until she's just nothing, and it's all so tempting. I can only see red. The tension is thick in the air, and the silence that embraces the room is nearly deafening. There are worried and almost fearful glances from some of the guests, yet at the same time I can still hear them whispering, but as long as they hold their tongues and don't interfere, none of this matters to me, especially when my darling looks at me with a different shine in his eyes. It's almost as if he's proud of what I've done, and that spurs me on more than
Everyone,
anything.
please go back to enjoying the party. Don't let that mess of a woman ruin your night.
You heard her! Strike up the band, maestro, and let us dance like fireflies in the night!
Takes a bit for the crowd to stir again in the face of all that, but like most problems of the elite, it's brushed under a rug and forgotten in favor of merriment. He offers his hand to me with a small smirk.
Well, that was a mess, wasn't it? And you handled it magnificently.
It happens. We are very important people, are we
I
not?
still don't understand the rap.
Milady, would you like to dance?
With pleasure, my prince.
No one's going to get between me and my darling husband, not Rochelle or any other rich, snooty scrubber. Not some common whore or ambitious maid. No one's going to get near him in that manner, not while I'm around. If I have anything to say about it, no one is going to get near him at all. Alright, I am going to end it there. I'll read the journal. I'll read the journal and then I'll end it there. In the aftermath of Rochelle's accusations, an enraged Hannah banned her former friend from setting foot on any of their properties. Despite what happened, the commotion was brushed off and the party continued. Luke and Hannah were seen dancing sweetly together all night. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for this episode of The Letter. I'm not sure how long this is. This may be like many episodes. But I have to end it there. I have an exam later. Actually, after my exam, I probably won't, but I might stream more of this because I want to get some of it done. I want to get the ball rolling. I want more horror. I want to see if there's anybody else besides the creepy lady with no eyelids and a large smile. But either way, that's going to be it for this episode of The Letter. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Catch you on the flip side.